Hi, I'm Amelia Bagnall. I'm in 7th grade in Castro Meadow School. So today I'm going to be talking to you about my basic science fair project called Muffin Mania. It is about how fluffy muffins get. So one day my neighbor came by with a jar of baking powder and she said, "I don't need this. Recipes always call for such a small amount. I don't really think it does anything. You can have it." So then I started talking to one of my family friends who is a professor, and she has a wonderful muffin recipe, and she said that she always doubles the amount of baking powder in her recipe to make them fluffier. So that got me thinking, since I love baking, what would happen if I doubled it, and what would happen if I didn't add any at all? So my hypothesis was that if in the batch that I double, it would be a lot fluffier and rise more, and in the batch that I didn't add any at all, it would be very short and dense, and it would not be fluffy at all and not taste good. So I started with 3 batches. Batch 1 was the normal amount, batch 2 was double the amount, and batch 3 was none at all. So once they came out of the oven, I would measure how tall they were, and I would grab the average height from the 8 muffins. Also, I used a controlled amount of batter in each of these. I would use the same scoop for the same amount of batter, and I used the same tin for each batch to make sure they all filled up the exact same amount of space, but they would rise different. So I found that batch 1 was the tallest, and batch 2 was surprisingly smaller than it, slightly smaller, because I watched it in the oven and it rose so much that all the air bubbles collapsed and it became really small, but just slightly smaller than batch 1. And batch 3, with no baking powder at all, it rose the smallest amount, but it was very dense and did not have a lot of air bubbles. It probably had like 2 or 3 in each muffin. And normal batch was, well, normal muffin, and it was really good. So in conclusion, you really don't need to double it because it doesn't make it fluffier at all. Like if you triple it, quadruple it, it doesn't make it that much more fluffier or taste better. And there's no reason to use less than the amount because it doesn't make it taste that good. So in conclusion, my experiment did not really prove my hypothesis correct, but we'll see if I do it again. And also, it was really fun because I got to eat a lot of muffins. Thank you for listening.